padme hum. Om Mani 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 Padme
Everybody hear me? Peace be upon you. Let's see what we got here. Let's start with a little bit of meditation. Om Morgan Yogi Nu Jab Sang Pema Gesa Dompola Yang Sen Chogi Nu Drup Ni Pema Junne Jesu Da Kodu Kandro Mampu Kor Kedki Jesu Da Druki Jingi Lapcher Shaksu Sol Guru Pema Siddhi Hum Om Argan Yogi Nu Jab Sang Pema Gesa Dompola Yang Sen Chogi Nu Dribni Pema Jungne Jesu Da Koru Kandro Mamper Kor Ketki Jesu Da Druki Jingi Lapcher Shaksu Sol Guru Pema Siddhi Hong Om Argan Yogi Nu Jab Sang Pema Gesa Dompola Yang Sen Chogi Nu Drupni Pema Jungne Jesu Da Kodu Kandro Mamper Kor Ketki Jesu Da Truki Jingi Lacher Shaksu Sol Guru Pema Siddhi Hum. Let's begin by tuning into your body. Feel your connection with the earth. Allow your belly to be loose, making sure we have nothing constraining or tight around the belly. Relax the shoulders. Relax any tension in the face, allowing yourself to be soft, at ease. Tuning into the wisdom of the body. It's just here, responding to the moment naturally. Allowing the breath to flow like a sleeping baby. And allowing your mind to enjoy itself, to stop worrying about the future, which never comes. And our worrying thoughts never, ever, ever match up with what arises in the moment. As a deep prayer of respect for yourself, just allow yourself to be where you are. You might die tonight, So stop contemplating future events and appreciate this moment, the gift of life you have just now. Contemplate that even if you were given £1 billion, $1 billion, even if you're given ownership of a country, and even if everyone on the planet knew your name, this couldn't make you happy. What does make you happy? Contemplate what it means to have deep loving kindness towards yourself. What does it mean to be happy? And what does a life look like that moves in happiness? How do I live in such a way that supports what I know happiness to be? Happiness, is it not appreciation for your life, the world around you? Gratefulness, love, inner peace. These states of mind are called the Dharma jewel. All of the awakened one's teachings are aimed in bringing this into our everyday experience. Feel or imagine what your life would be like if for one day no delusion arose, that whatever you encountered, you embraced it with acceptance, joy, love, a sense of the miraculous, peace. Would it matter how big your bank balance was, or how big your circle of friends were? Contemplate. Recognize that this is refuge. Not what we gather on the outside world, but what we do with our mind. Jesus calls it the kingdom of heaven. The ultimate jewel is being aware of the nature of that mind. Can you recognize that this is freedom and peace? Is there any obstacle that prevents you from being in this space permanently? Or are all seeming obstacles temporary? That you, by your nature, are a Buddha. How would it be? Is it in the realms of possibility that someone you know could also attain this? How would it be for you in your life if your sister, your brother, your mother, your father, someone very close to you, attained this kingdom of heaven? Would that be more worthwhile to you than buying them a car? How would it be if your entire family and circle of friends remained in a state of peace, joy, love, and wisdom for the rest of their lives? Would that be more worthwhile to you than worrying about your future career? Is it in the realm of possibility that these people could attain this? Or is it just complete nonsense? And it's impossible for these people to awaken to their true nature. How would it be if all the beings in Israel and Palestine recognize their true nature right now? All the guns are just dropped. They could use the planes to help share food across the planet. How would that be? Worthwhile? Is it in the realm of possibility that every being can understand themselves? How wonderful it would be if every living being awoke to their true nature and lived without suffering forever. I am going to work from now on for this to be a reality. I am going to awaken as the supreme means to guide all others to their awakened state. This is the meaning of life. I must awaken to guide all beings to their true state. I must become a Buddha. When this feeling arises deep in your heart, hold it in a state of shamatha. Allow your heart to open out to the entire world, sensing the kingdom of heaven in all beings everywhere, and how wonderful that would be. Sensing what your life will be like, that in every situation and in every moment you're working towards this happening. This is the undercurrent of your life. Whenever you go to the doctors and smile at the doctor, deep down, you wish them to find their Buddha nature. Whenever someone criticizes you or is very unhelpful, deep down, you wish them to find their Buddha nature. Whenever you eat your meal, you're nourishing yourself because deep down, you want all beings to discover their Buddha nature. Feel into your life like this. Feel how easy that is, and how meaningful and joyful. Sense that just by being alive, your life is now meaningful. Sense that the awakened state is not an abstraction. Many people call this state God. And God's love is pulling us to awaken and help others. that you can deeply relax into your life, knowing it has the highest purpose, and you are guided and helped. Because this awareness, or what we can call God, is craving that all beings find their true nature. So of course, you're going to be helped by the divine. Relax into the oceanic knowledge, intention. This is a Bodhisattva, but one with the reality. And let go of all intention, all thinking, and rest in the natural state, at ease. Come back to your body. Sense the space around you. Take a moment to stretch. What's on your shirt, Hakeem?
Flowers.
Wow, that's nice. You've always got the Hawaii vibe. I want you to remember that space when you take the 4 empowerments. You know, one of the problems for many people's guilt, or a sense that you're not worthy. You got to think that you're like the boots on the ground for the Buddhas. Like your God's hands, like I think it says in the Book of Love, your God's eyes. For those that are aware, God's eyes, God's ears, God's hands. And the enlightened ones are trying to help as much as possible. That's all this motivation that we've just generated, that's their consciousness. It's entirely wishing others to help. And they can't do it physically like that. They need to help you. So when you get in the four empowerments, it's like you're a soldier and you've just gone to the general and they're gearing you up. You're getting your grenades, your inner grenades loaded, the grenades of love and bliss and joy to take out into the world. Yeah, not like, oh, I'm not worthy. They don't care about stuff like that. Yeah, they generate as Bodhisattva to just wipe away any negativity you think you've ever done. Just like get rid of it, be happy, and the only way to help is to be happy. In fact, we're going to give you our being into you. We're going to bless you, bliss you up. It's all we want. We receive the four empowerments like that. Got that bodhicitta motivation. That's like don't hold on to it like you're going to give yourself a migraine. It's that sense of ease, letting go. It's like you're relaxing on the couch and you're just laughing on inside all the time about everything. Yeah, love. I remember when we were building the temple, the Kutan Lama, he's just a really old man. He's like the oracle. One of these dudes that has like a deity into his body and the deity speaks. But I remember we're all taking stuff out and he's just standing there, just like, I wish I could help. I wish I could help. And he's just so happy. Like, he's like, I can't help him. I'm like an old man, but I just wish I could help. It's even the thought of helping, it's this joy. Yeah, this is what we're... Bodhicitta is not some like heavy load. The situation of people's difficult. Suffering's not fun for anybody, but it doesn't help anyone. If you're miserable and all the rest of it. I'll just read the passage from the Bodhicitta book, just to get us further in the mood. If one investigates to find the supreme method for accomplishing the aims of oneself and others, it comes down to bodhicitta alone. Being certain of this, develop it with joy. The good that is bodhicitta does not give fruit just once. Until the knowledge of all modes of meditation is reached, it does not finish, but gets ever greater. When knowledge of all modes of meditation is reached, the rain of precious Dharma from the form body cloud nourishes the shoots of the good that people do. Inner knowledge amongst knowledges, the wish-fulfilling gem amongst all jewels, the stallion amongst the fleet-footed, bodhicitta amongst thoughts. The sun, the moon, a lamp, a lightning flash, they may illuminate, but they hardly clear away the inner murk. This bodhicitta is extolled by the holy as completely extirpating the darkness of living beings. Every benefit and joy originates in this bodhicitta of the victor's children. There is no way that a wish-fulfilling gem can ever compare with it. So in our terms, it means the internet can't compare with bodhicitta. The internet's like the wish-fulfilling gem. It's like called a mythical tree where you sit under it and whatever you wish for, it appears. That's very close to Amazon, isn't it? Or the internet. Like whatever music from history, you just type it in and it appears unbelievable amounts of karma being burned up, the external world. Say before, you can imagine when an event happens, like you got two choices for your karma to ripen from the act of giving in a previous life. So you can ask yourself, it's like an indicator where you are on the path. It's either going to ripen as this perfect 3-bedroom bungalow in this beautiful glade that you've always been dreaming about. No, the perfect distance for neighbours, maybe 400 meters away. You can make as much noise as you want, but they're just available. It's going to ripen as that, or it's going to ripen as a state of consciousness that wherever you are, it feels like home. And what do you choose? There might be a little pull to the external ripening. So for a bodhisattva, it's like a waste of time. It's like, shit, my karma ripened as an external house, instead of ripening internally as the sense that wherever I go, it's the perfect house. This is like the Dharma practitioner. That's the difference. It's like what's happening in your mind or what you look in the external world. It's not like there's no external world there. It's not like we don't have a house. But it's how we relate to it. That's more important than whatever it is that we have. That's the Dharma. That's wisdom, right? So we're always wishing that our karma ripens internally. Not that we have a lot of friends, that whoever we meet, we feel friendly towards. Yeah, see that shift of looking for the outer thing to happen rather than the internal, and then whatever outer thing happens, we dance with it. Wouldn't that be great? That's like realization. That's what it means. You just think of any event, any situation, and your mind is good with it. Yeah. When you really get into it, then you start seeing your room as divine. Like the chair that you have in your room, it's the best chair in the world. And if you go to another room, another house, you forget about the past. And then the chair that's in that room, it's just divine. It's unique. It couldn't be better. It's like a work of art. What's one of the obstacles to that happening? I, me, mine. My chair. And we grasp onto it because it gave us a nice feeling once. So we're looking for this mind. If we have this mind, then is there any obstacles to giving? To receiving? To flowing? What are you going to fight over? For your moral discipline. Can you give things away? Can you give things away? That's what we're working on. So when we give things away, we have this motivation of bodhicitta, what we just did in the meditation. So we have the intention when we give away that we're gathering, accumulating this untranslatable word, which gets translated into merit or virtue, but it's crap. You mix that in with personal power, a joyful capacity to help. That's why you give, so that the action will ripen to help people. Yeah. So it is said, it's really beautiful, that someone who's realized, they're off on their own trip, they've gone to India, met a Neo-Advaita teacher. They've realized themselves and they're just resting in their own awareness. Quite happy, you know, they drop all their friends, don't make any contact. They're sorted. You know, not really suffering, resting in awareness. You know, maybe do their video blog or something. Yeah, really, really happy. You know, they've done it. They can rest in awareness. It's said that when a bodhisattva is told to give, he experiences more bliss than one of those people. Just hearing the word give, it's just like, oh, how can I just, oh. It's this knowledge that whatever you do, you're creating the causes that guide all beings to bliss. It's like, how can it, you're just waiting to give your stuff away. Because, why? It's going to ripen as that internal merit. That wherever you go, you'll be happy. And so you'll have no obstacles at all to ever being happy and helping people. And the more you give, the more you'll get that. And not only do you give the material things, that feeling that arises, you give that away. Yeah, empty. How's that, what I just described, how does that feel compared to like a normal day at work? And what goes on in you? What goes on in the mind? Compared to the worries. It's like, ooh. Baron, you got a question?
Can you really do that if you haven't developed a healthy sense of self first?
Well, this is the way to develop a healthy sense of self. Do you not think that's a healthy sense of self?
Yeah, when it's authentic, that given, when it's done sincerely and genuinely and meant, and there's nothing behind it, then yeah, I can't see anything healthier. But there's a lot that...
I think sometimes we interpret having a healthy sense of self as being a selfish motherfucker, right? Yeah, just I'm gonna get what I want whenever I want it. Like that's like what we call a healthy sense. It's not. There's an element of, if you've given your game away so much, there's a moment where you kind of like have to stand up for yourself, which I think is coming up. So actually, we'll just skip ahead to that one. Why not, whilst we? I actually managed this time around to read a page before, like 10 minutes before the class. It came up, so that was my prep. And it was for you, I was thinking of you, Bertrand, what came up last night. It's tied into the earlier Bodhisattva exaltation, let's call them, not vows. So in Venerable Geshe-la's book, it was that not believing that Bodhisattva's compassion ensures that all their actions are pure. And the tutor to the 10th Dalai Lama says, for those who have bodhicitta and are properly engaging in the practices of the Bodhisattvas, on occasions when there would be exceptional benefit for others, if one engaged in any of the 7 non-virtues, such as killing, but one does not do so, that is the misdeed of not compassionately engaging in an offense. So if you're a bodhisattva and it's the right thing to do and you don't kill someone, you break your downfalls because you're not helping people. Whew. So this one is very similar, but on a lesser scale. In response to someone's physical or verbal misconduct, if one sees that one is able to forcefully correct them, but one fails to do so in order to maintain their good opinion of oneself, that is the misdeed of not correcting others, despite their mental afflictions. In Venerable Geshe-la's book, it says, not helping others to avoid negativity. If we have the ability and the opportunity to help someone avoid committing negative actions, but without a good reason fail to do so, we incur a secondary downfall. So, as the tutor to the 10th Dalai Lama says, if you're worried about the opinions of others, and that stops you from stopping them engaging in like hurtful speech, wrong action, you're not being a bodhisattva. So it's clear that being a bodhisattva is not about being nice. It's not about being a nice person. It's about stopping suffering. It's about stopping people's negative behaviors. Now, as we know, people are sensitive. So unless you're relentlessly nice to someone, it's very difficult to ever do that without them running away. So within it all, again, it's said all the time, without a good reason, if you have the ability, it's not like it's something that's easy. If it was easy, we could all do it. Just hear the instruction, you could do it. But it's very clear that we want to get to the stage that if we really love people, we're prepared for them to dislike us if we can stop their bad habits. So if you've got an employee at work and they're engaging in bad things and disrupting the other people at work, and you forcefully tell them, that's being a bodhisattva. And the obstacle to that is you're worried about their opinion of you. That's when we're slipping off the path. It's quite difficult, right? That's a challenge. Okay.
How to do this without the subtle sense of hierarchies, or like knowing something. Like if you're with someone, and just say, for example, at work, and doing something that's clearly not helping themselves for their own mental state or whatever it might be, without the sense of I've learned something from the Dharma, and without a sense of like trying to impose something. Like if it's a heartfelt, that's painful. There's still a subtle sense of like trying to use the mind to say, oh, but that's this or that's that. How to navigate that skillfully, that balance.
Can you say more? I'm not quite sure what you're...
So if it's a genuine, like I want to help this person, but there's also the sense there's still a person there. There's still a person who's prideful.
You're talking about yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, right. So you're talking about being perfect before you engage in the...
Yeah.
No. There's two stages of being a bodhisattva. And that's the stage before realization and the stage after. So when you come across these crazy motherfuckers who think that once they've realized awareness, they can just do what they like, they're as far away from the path as possible. The only reason that we're attaining awareness is so we can now actually engage in the Bodhisattva's actions. Before we do it, we're engaging in the Bodhisattva's actions. And when we realize emptiness, it's called the perfection. It's we're now actually able to do it properly. Yeah. So you can't do it, Namka, perfectly until you've realized emptiness. Until you've realized emptiness, everything we'll do will be tainted by the ego. Then when we realize emptiness, we realize there's no self, there's no other, there's just appearances. Then we can really... So if you get the sense that the person at work's just an appearance in your mind, yeah. If you're lucid dreaming, it's quite easier to just go in the dream. It's just my mind, I'll just change it. And if you need to change something in your mind in a lucid dream forcefully, like it's a dopamine count out, you do it forcefully, right? It's not an obstacle. if you don't know you're dreaming, it's a lot more difficult. So, I mean, you be patient with yourself, be kind to yourself, but this is still like the training. Yeah, it's just, we know that it's not going to be perfect. And this is why it's part of our Bodhisattva commitments, as we'll see later on, to realize emptiness, to develop shamatha so we can realize emptiness. Then we can be a Bodhisattva. Perfectly. There's also translated as the transcendence. So it's we're transcending, we're doing it transcendently. But until that time, if we waited till we were perfect, we wouldn't be able to do anything. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I mean, it's a classic thing. It's like, it's a very heartfelt and noble sentiment that I want to wait until I'm perfect before I'm a dad. Right? Isn't it? I don't want to fuck up my kids like I got fucked up. It's a perfectly noble sentiment. But life's messy, isn't it? You can't always get what you want, but if you try sometimes, you get what you need, isn't it? Does that make sense to you? Am I making sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Yang Chen.
Yeah, I think I'm struggling maybe with something similar, and it's like that path of non-interference where you think, okay, that person's experiencing what they're experiencing for whatever reason that you might not understand. So it's about trying to find that balance of when to act and when to rest and let whatever it is unfold for that person. Maybe that's just over time that understanding deepens, but I found myself in that situation a few times, and probably I'm quiet unless something's really presented where it's clear that I need to act in some way. But yeah, that's what I've been experiencing.
Beautiful. Remember, the Dharma is like a mirror. And in many ways, just the mere description of it is prescriptive. So it's not like just, and each of us has an Enneagram type. So we all have a strength in a certain area. So if people who are 8s, this is probably like the least of their problems. It's probably not such a difficult vow to maintain, telling people when they need to get sorted. What they need to work on is being patient with people. Yeah, when we get into the patient side, like not doing that. And then for those that are too passive, it's like, it's like move. Stop letting people, don't let those children bully the other children. Be firm. That's an easy example, right? When you'd step in, someone's bullying someone, it's like, stop doing that. Imagine you were so weak that you're worried about what the kids said about you, and you just let the bullying going on. Oh, just in case they don't like me because I stopped the bullying. You can see how wrong it is, right? To be that concerned about how other people are going to see you. If you stand up for what's right. Until we can go to the other extreme, is like, are you prepared to die for it? For what's right? I've heard it said that unless you've got something you're prepared to die for, then you can't really live for something. I remember my guru saying, I'm ready to die for this. It's like, it's just great. Yeah. The world of spirituality, religion, and death threats, and people are crazy. People are crazy. For those watching The Chosen, you'll just see it. People will murder Buddhas. psych yourself up for when they nail Jesus to a plank of wood. So again, we have to be reminded again and again and again, like saying, reminded about just where's your breath. And as soon as you're reminded about your breath, you're aware of your breath. Right now, right? How many of you were aware of your breath before I said it's not aware, and then you're aware of it again? It's like, so what we said last night is, so you have this being called the Lama or the teacher who's reminding you again and again. Then you have Padmasambhava, who's like a symbol of the teacher. He's just reminding you again and again and again of your awareness. Then this, every time you see Padmasambhava, you see the teacher, you're reminded of your awareness. Until eventually, it's just one thing. You see the teacher, awareness. It's like when you come to class, just immediately you're reminded of that space, back into awareness. Yeah, it's beautiful. So I'm going to remind you again, you're not at school and you're not in the army. Yeah, it's not boot camp. I've got to get it right. Like Haruka's like his dictator waiting for you to get it wrong to punish you. It's just some guidance, like look, experiment. Be aware of what's going on in your mind. Be aware of what's going on in your mind. Are you afraid of this person? We're afraid of people. It's okay, right? And it's just mirroring back. Oh, why am I afraid? Everything's just like this continuous awareness of ourself and our engagement. It's what the guidelines are for, to guide us into what's in our mind at the time. And it's not easy. But in my own life, the times when someone stood up to me very firmly, it worked. Yeah. Someone's grabbed me by the throat and pushed me up against the wall. It was like just what I needed. Yes, it's happened on another occasion. I've had a friend be very firm. It's just like, yep, just what was needed. Yeah, I hope you've had that experience. You recognize wrath, that love takes the form of firmness. I mean, I've heard some extreme comments that, being a bodhisattva's got nothing to do with love and compassion. But you're talking about that kind of personal love. So you say some bodhisattvas are not friendly. And that can be very helpful. They're not interested in you becoming their friend. They're not interested in your attention. And it's just ego. That's your ego. Not interested. Ego. And it's like, how much are we interested in overcoming our faults? If we're really interested in overcoming our faults and we're not too sensitive, then we can be firmly shaken. That's more helpful, but not for everybody. Fortunately, you're allowed to meet more than one person in this life. So it's nice to have a lama that's like quite wrathful. It's also nice to have one who's loving and kind and soft and gentle. But we've all got our own natures, as you say. You notice that, like when you start teaching, you'll have your own personality. And then when you do start teaching, then you'll get the karma back of how you were a disciple. So you were like, I wish I'd never said anything bad about my teacher. Things like that. It's like, now you're in the position. It's like, oh, eat. Anyway, probably rambling. The next one we were on, indulging in frivolity. This is a classic for the low self-esteem. We're all in the army. That means I can't enjoy myself mindset. The 13th, so the tutor to the 10th Dalai Lama says, if one forgets oneself, there we go, let me just say that again. If one forgets oneself and engages in wild behavior and distracts oneself with fun and games and Grand Theft Auto 5 and idle chatter and wants to encourage others to act likewise, that is the misdeed of forgetting oneself and losing control. Anyone done that? So Bodhisattva just wipes away all these. And you see, this is a challenge, right? If one forgets oneself. Maybe I should say it like about 50 times. We do the mantras, we're just saying the same thing again and again to try and just get the mind out of this habit of if one forgets oneself. That means if one remembers oneself, you can do whatever the fuck you want. Simple English. Quoting the Buddha. Yeah, that's the implication, right? That if you remember yourself, nothing is meaningless. Nothing is a waste of time. Nothing is frivolous. So Bodhisattva is all about this skillful, the spontaneous knowing of what to do. If your friend's feeling down, if your friend's feeling down, the last thing on earth is that they want to hear is a lecture from you about the Dharma. What they want from you is to sit with them and play Grand Theft Auto and lighten them up. You haven't forgotten yourself. You recognize someone's in need, and that's the best way to help. And by enjoying the game, you're not breaking your Bodhisattva vows. Yeah. However, if was playing Grand Theft Auto, you do forget yourself, and you start to get really fucking pissed off because someone killed your character, and you start blaming your friend. Then you've broken your it's not like you understand the difference. If you play the game and you have the controlled folly to just go, bloody hell, in a kind of joyful, playful way, you haven't broken your vow. In fact, you're guiding that person to enlightenment. When you attain bodhicitta, you don't become like a numb zombie. Yeah. We are void of delusion. Yeah. Can you love yourself while playing Grand Theft Auto? Is it possible? Yeah. It's the display of. You can never judge a bodhisattva from the outside. You can get up to all sorts. Because it's the intention and the motivation and the recognition that your friend needed someone to uplift them. And the best thing was to play a game with them. And we know fine well, if you just play a game out of pity, they recognize it and it doesn't help. We must engage in the game fully. And they recognize that they're with you fully, without some kind of holier than thou pity motivation that you're engaging it with them. And so we need the skillful means of awareness to recognize that whatever appearances arise are just as equal as any other appearance. We don't choose samsara over nirvana. Now, when you're doing that, you're not forgetting yourself, are you? It's like, this is all the appearances of samsara and nirvana. Wow. But if you just totally lose you just get into your ego, you start competing with your friend. I'm going to fucking beat him in the game. I'll show him, isn't it? Men can be quite competitive. Some people even get competitive with the guru. It's really crazy. You can get up a hill faster than the guru, right, Baron? Claiming that bodhisattvas need not abandon samsara. This is an interesting one. Some people misunderstanding what samsara is, probably likely, isn't it? Assert that bodhisattvas need not abandon samsara or delusions, but can attain enlightenment in the midst of samsara while working for the welfare of sentient beings. They don't become enlightened, they take rebirth in samsara. Have you heard that before? If we hold this view and encourage others to think the same, we incur a secondary downfall, because such views interfere with our spiritual progress. I shall read you the other. What number is that? 14. If one says that bodhisattvas do not delight in nirvana, but turn away from it, are unafraid of mental afflictions, and do not utterly disengage their minds from them, and they wander about in samsara for 3 countless eons, while seeing the need to achieve enlightenment, that is the misdeed of thinking one just has to travel through samsara. There's a lot of maybe ideas that sound foreign or a bit weird. Basically, those who are renunciates kind of look at what I've just described, playing Grand Theft Auto and stuff, and think they just indulge in their delusions. They're not doing what we're doing, going into a cave and watching the mind and getting rid of all delusions. And they think that they can just be in samsara and attain enlightenment. So that's the idea that samsara is outside. And nirvana is a place you go to. So samsara is identification with the false self. That's what it is. And the subsequent appearances that arise when we identify with that. So if we identify with the false self, chances are we'll identify with our house and think it's mine. When you think that your house is yours, you'll kill people to defend it, you will do other negative actions. If you understand samsara is a state of mind, then it's a bodhisattva's obligation to overcome samsara, that state of mind, to then be with people. Being with people in love is nirvana, and you recognize that the person you're with is dreaming. So being in samsara is an obstacle to being a bodhisattva. So the idea that the world is samsara is wrong, and according to the Mahayana teachings. It's not a place. The kingdom of heaven is not a place. It's like, Who will be at your right hand? Who will be number one? That's samsara. Nirvana is the kingdom of heaven is now. That's nirvana. They couldn't get it, right? It's just like, Baron.
Where does the concept of this is all samsara come from? Like, it feels like along the way somewhere I've kind of built up this idea from listening to teachings and like developed this kind of framework of like, oh, it's all samsara. Whereas it is, but it seems to be like entrenched in a thought that it's external rather than this is God, this is bliss, life's incredible. Because it's quite a heavy thought.
I don't know, but if we take on as a concept previous lives, take that on as a concept and then look at what we do know, that the mind does work as habit. So if you hear that teaching once and then you immediately develop a strong habit, like it becomes really tight quickly, that's what samsara is. There's a good chance that you did that in a previous life. That was one of the... That's why when you hear that term samsara, you've immediately got history with it that other people don't have. But it's also like an indication and a mirror of how we using concepts, and we think because we've conceived of something, it's like that. It's an indication of how the mind's working. And it's a common misconception that a lot of people have, because that's generally how we're seeing things as the world. So those same things that we're seeing can be samsara when our mind is like that. So as you say, if you're playing Grand Theft Auto, thinking it's a real thing, you want to get something out of it, you want to defeat your friend, you get greedy about it, Grand Theft Auto is then samsara. If you have a mind of love, you're helping your friend, you understand its appearances, Grand Theft Auto is nirvana. So in one sense, Baron, the world is samsara, because that's how we're relating to it. And then it becomes like that.
Is it kind of tied with original sin, that idea that the world you're perceiving is inherently fixed? And is it kind of a lack of understanding of emptiness that comes from?
Yeah, it's a lack of understanding of emptiness. Everything depends on our mind. And like Buddha taught, life is suffering. When we're attached to the ego. And people then think life itself is suffering. It's not, it's suffering when we've got the false sense of self. When we get rid of the false sense of self, life is bliss. Like Buddha's a part of life. It's like it's not like there's life and then there's Buddha somewhere else that's outside of life. They're in bliss. They're experiencing, well, there is no thing there to say. It's just all your mind. When you think there's a thing there that's independent of your mind, that's samsara. So in one sense, when it's described, we can see how it seems like they're describing the world, and that when I enjoy something, I'm in samsara. So like we were saying last night, that everything's samsara. You don't worry about it. Once you've got the ego, it's wrong. Everything you do is wrong. It's like you relax. It's like it's until we get rid of the ego, everything we do will be tainted by it. We can do great things and enjoy our lives, and it's wonderful. But like Buddha said, beyond that level of suffering that comes when we're identified with the body, like, we sit down until we can't take it anymore. We, go through it. Then we stand up and it feels joyful. It's just a change of suffering. And then we walk about until we have to sit down and it feels, but it's just a change of suffering. Then we're hungry. Then we eat, it feels blissful, but it's just a change of suffering. whilst we're identified with that, it's just changing suffering. We're never happy. Like, that's part of samsara. And Buddha said underneath that, it's just that innate unease. I mean, just so beautiful. It's like a hair on the palm of your hand is suffering in your being. Like, just like a little thought, like Muhammad says, like a little black bit in your heart. It's called Satan. It's just like there, just underneath everything. And we know it, isn't it? Like an existential, just, that's just in the mind. When there's a false identification with the false self, that's what's there. And when there's not, it's peace and joy. And whatever we do is right. And we're always happy and content. And we recognize that things as they are. And life is bliss, the kingdom of heaven. So it's all about watching your mind, right? Whether you're in samsara or nirvana. So you'll go to work, and if you're really enjoying it and loving it, and you recognize it's all coming from your mind, it's nirvana. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We will have to keep contemplating again and again. It's deeply ingrained, right?
Mm.
It's all right. I'll just keep reminding you again and again. Just change your mind and you're in nirvana. When your little baby comes out and you feel that sense of love, you just go, this is it. This is nirvana.
Mm.
You just let go of your sense of self. When the baby comes out, think I.
Mm.
You don't even think it, you feel it. And it'll be a joyful moment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless your ego comes in and you start going, well, how will I behave? What if I pass out? What if they look at me like crying? Then you're in samsara. Yeah, you with me? It's this all depends on your mind.
Mm-hmm.
It all depends on your mind, everything. And who's in charge of your mind? You. Is freedom in your hands or not? Yes. Do the Buddhas want to help you? Yes. Samaya.
I think we understand the downfall itself. So you know that you're attached to yourself and you're living your life thinking that that's enough to help beings. I just didn't kind of get the gist of how. Is it a sort of arrogance of thinking that your life as you live it is enough and you don't have to change?
It's not understanding essentially that the Bodhisattva's duty is to overcome the ego.
So it's like a misunderstanding.
Yeah, and it's not like I forego overcoming my ego to take rebirth again as a person, to be amongst people to help them.
So it's sort of
It's holding that view, like, no, I'm not gonna overcome my ego so I can relate to people, because I'm in samsara until the last being awakens. Like a bodhisattva stays in samsara to help people. It's the holding that view.
But the bodhisattva always wants to first overcome themselves in order to help actually properly.
It's the only way to help people, right?
So the downfall is thinking that you don't actually need to do that.
Yes.
It seems so I didn't understand. It seems quite far.
yeah, it's maybe not relevant to you now. And it might make more sense later on about what that means. It comes up more in the culture of Buddhism. And I've come across it quite a few times, that sense. It's like, I'm not going to become enlightened, so I can take rebirth in samsara to help people because I'm a bodhisattva. Have you come across that, anyone? I forego enlightenment to take rebirth in samsara to help people because I'm a bodhisattva. And it's like Geshe-la's saying, and the Tutor to the 10th Line, you don't understand what samsara is. It's a nonsensical statement.
Thanks for explaining. It didn't make sense.
Let's see, we get on with the not avoiding a bad reputation. Let's see, we get on with that. If we unnecessarily engage in actions that cause us to receive criticism or a bad reputation, we incur a secondary downfall. However, if our actions benefit many beings, cause the pure Buddha Dharma to flourish, or are necessary to preserve the integrity of our moral discipline, it does not matter if a few people criticize us. And what number is that? Sorry. If one does not dispel and reject the unfounded basis for vile rumors or slanderous talk about the veracity or purity of one's speech or conduct, that is the misdeed of not rejecting such infamy. If someone's talking shit about you, spreading rumors and lies, sort them out. If you can. And it's like going to affect other people's interest in the Dharma. So people were slandering Muji, and they just kind of let it be. Just leave them alone. That was the advice. Just until he just had to make a video about it and say, what people are lying, what they're saying is not true. And they're trying, that's a bodhisattva action. Try and dispel the rumors. First of all, it's like, I don't care what they say. You can have it as a test. Do you care? Now it's like, it's unnecessary for this to go on. It's not helpful. And I'm going to sort it out. But if it's just a few people, yeah, you engage in an action and you recognize, oh, you can see that they're thinking bad things about you because you're like, say, you're associating with someone who's a criminal. You just let them think it. So we can see the dance of these things, because the other thing we're talking about is not caring what people think and doing the right thing. And then it's like you're balancing your reputation on, is there a need for them to think that I'm breaking my vows, or should I tell them I'm actually got a good intention here? Sometimes it's very helpful for our ego to allow someone to think that we're rubbish. It is very helpful. I like it. I like doing it. So they think, I know that they're saying this bad thing, and I'll stay hidden inside and let them think it. I remember once I was working as a cleaner in this hippie cafe, and you had to get up really early. I can't remember what time. I had to get up 6 a.m. or something and go down and clean for 2 hours before it opened. And I remember helping this guy out by saying, right, you can come and clean as well. I got him a job, and he turned up late, so we couldn't clean. And I took the blame and said it was me that turned up late and got sacked. But the cafe was closely associated with the Buddhist Center. And then I got into trouble for ruining their reputation. No. Who's right? for me, the whole point of learning at a Buddhist center is to do what I did. That's the point. It's okay to have a little bit of a bad reputation. It's like, reputation's not everything. If you just set in this example and this fantastical, idealized state that everyone's going to like us and we have to always show a smiling face, it's not the way for me. Hi.
It's so funny, like even hearing you share that story, what it brings up in me, this feeling of like, oh, but that's unjust, and not liking hearing that had happened to you, even though it's got nothing to do with the Dharma, and that, you know, I hear what you're saying, but then it's like there's like a tightness in me, like, oh, that doesn't feel right, because that's not. And I noticed that in life as well, like that things being just, or yeah, in my own life, and like maybe with myself, and wanting things to be clear. So I find that quite a hard thing to sit with, or even like seeing it in others, seeing unjust things happening in the world, and it's like hard to sit with. And just curious to know how do you cultivate that more? How did you go through that experience and transform it?
Well, so it's a very beautiful point you make, that you see how fluid these guidelines are. It's not like some fixed thing you learn them and you become like a rigid robot. It's like, which I'm going to mention, maybe too much, maybe not, is that in each individual moment, there'll be a different aspect of yourself that you apply and learn. So in the next vow that we're talking about, like with Baron and his work, is like a different time. You just stand up, boom, don't be late. How dare you be late? And really slap that guy down for being late, and maybe they wouldn't be late again at another time. This is all pointing to the fact that it's all to do with our motivation. The actual external actions are like secondary to what's going on inside us. And different situations at different times in our life will elicit these vows and responses. So what you just said about me is beautiful. That's what you want. It's like, that's unjust. That shouldn't happen to him. For me, internally, it was such a fantastic experience. Like, it's so chuffed. I've got to do a Bodhisattva's actions. I mean, I shouldn't really tell you about it. I mean, it's so long ago now, it shouldn't matter too much. You know, like the ego grasp onto it. You have to watch the ego grasp. Oh, I did it. You know what I mean? Like, I gave my job away for someone else. Took a bad reputation. They got the job. They felt better. And it's like, yes! That's like spiritual training. Doesn't mean I'd do it again. Next situation, go, right, I've done that. I know I can do it. I know I can give my job away and reputation. Next time, maybe I'll just stand up for myself. In the aspect of telling them you shouldn't behave like that. Very fluid, like that. But something I that I wanted to do and learn was to take a bad reputation, to go back to the center and get a telling off. Yeah. Oh, they're unreliable, those Buddhists, you know. I hope that makes sense. Yeah. So I have, again, the sense that we're playing with these and what they mean to us personally, not like some dictate. Boom. You can try it like that if you want. There's probably teachers out there who are like that with it. In my experience, being around people like that, they become doit, like really, really tight. What's the spirit? The spirit of the Bodhisattva is just love. Love, freedom. What is being an obstacle to your love and freedom? And so if you trust in the spontaneity, Shivali, trust that the God or the Buddhas are blessing you to, in that moment for me, to perceive that situation where it's like, I'm going to give the victory to him and I'm going to take the blame for myself. And as I say, at another time you trust that what's coming up is like, I need to be wrathful. Now is the time to be wrathful. It's coming up in my consciousness to be wrathful. And you have to vow that if you're not wrathful when it's needed, you break your vow. So it's always just challenging you. What's arising? Can you trust it? Can you trust yourself? Or do you keep questioning your motivation? That am I like what Namka says, I'm not perfect, I'm not getting it right. That's an obstacle. That's like the inner critic in spirituality. The inner critic. You have to love the inner critic, don't you? It's like, it just doesn't matter what you do. It'll just creep in on the other side and go, yeah. You know, even if you like have a moment where you get laid after a while and you feel like a king, you walk out the door, isn't it? You feel like a king or a queen. It's just like, your joy just sucked out of you, dwindling down like a little leech. You imagine, you should draw it, you know, like a slug with like a Smeagol's face on your neck. You actually listen to it, right, don't you? That's the sad thing. Oh, it must be true. Some thoughts went through my head, they must be true. That's how much we think thoughts are real, right? Well, they must be true. Why? Because they happened. I thought them. It's absolute nonsense. That's what you'll see when, you know, you get some stability in your path. Just like looking at the sky and go, there's a lion in the clouds. It's like, I'm thinking there's an actual lion there. Oh, there's big eyes, they're watching me. Oh, it's just shapes moving through the sky, isn't it? Isn't it? Or are they actually lions there because you conceptualize it? Same with your thoughts. Now they actually feel like there's a lion there or a pair of eyes looking at you because you're thinking it. No, it isn't. What freedom, what relief. I don't have to believe what I think. Oh, not only that, I can start to choose. I'm Tara. I don't have a personal history. That's the best thing about David. I don't have a personal history. I'm here blazing with love and joy. That's who I am. That's the thought. That's the thought I choose to play with at the moment and believe. Rather than I'm Bob. I'm a depressed alcoholic. That's a horrible thought to have, isn't it? You understand emptiness, you're free. Just like, you can be anything you want. The theatre of life. You just impute I'm a king or a queen. I'm Vajrayogini. Yeah, so when you're putting your makeup in the morning, ladies, hate speech. You're Vajrayogini adorning herself. Bless the world, to appear utterly beautiful. Your sexual energy blossoming out into the universe in a fire of play. That's a bodhisattva. That's an expression of being a bodhisattva. That's how you're relating to yourself when you sit down and play GTA. Don't know what your friends are relating to, maybe they're Bob the alcoholic, you know, I'm too fat on my pot belly, you know. I am a belly. I am a flesh belly. That's what I am. When I look in the mirror, that's what I am. It's horrible. You know, I've got to get to level 4. I mean, there's levels in GT. I've got to kidnap the casino guy. I've never played it. Well, I played it for about a minute. It was fun because you get a stick and you smash people. I just go and get the cops and then fight them. And that was it. Just appearances arising in play, isn't it? Better to relate to yourself as a blissful 16-year-old sexual, vibrant, empty appearance with no personal history that's in ecstasy and understands that all phenomena that are arising is your own mind in union with you. Take your pick. If we find it hard, that's just why we're training in shamatha. To train, don't believe you. That's all, don't believe you. In a sense, that's all we're doing. Don't believe you. Just stay. Don't believe you. Stay. Just imagine now, every time you follow the thought, you've just gone into the spider web of the slug Smeagol creature, and you're now kissing it. That's you following the thought and believing it. If it's a horrible one. And when it's a good thought, you can at least think Vajrayogini's grabbed you and like, okay, it's a nice thought of me, but I'm still not real either. Now just get back down to your awareness and just let them go. This is the real Bodhisattva action. Hallelujah. What's the real Bodhisattva action? Not doing anything. See, it's like it all condenses down. You've got that knowledge. You're not just sitting there going, oh, what am I doing? You're sitting there and going, this is for the benefit of every living being, for myself, all things. I am freeing all beings. How? By just not believing in thoughts. Wow. It's the intention and motivation that's the rocket fuel. Like he says at the start, bodhicitta fulfills all the aims. This is why I'm sitting down and not believing. Then you can do that. Is there any obstacle to doing that anywhere? No. So then you go and do it with your parents. You go and do it whilst your baby's crying at 3 a.m. in their little cot. Is there any obstacle to just watching thoughts come up and not believing them? And then you're a bodhisattva action with the baby. Then it's great, because then you can practice patience. Yeah. Even better, because how many of us are attached to sleep? Yeah. How many people will get woken up at 4 a.m. and go, great, up. Or how many just can't do that. If you're attached, you'll get angry. If you're attached, you'll get. If you're not attached, you won't get angry, will you? It's great practice. Yeah. Okay, it's 1:05. Does anybody have any other questions? Baron.
Just one last one. The one that gets me is like the guilt around hypocrisy and not feeling like I can assert how I'm experiencing things with other people, because it kind of comes back to the perfectionism thing. It's just like how to accept that I'm a hypocrite. Is it okay to be a hypocrite?
The C.R. Lama says, we're all liars, and I'm the biggest liar there is. Yeah, it just can't not be hypocrites. Yeah, we just live in delusion. If you relax, you're in samsara, like as in you've got an ego. It's like you're talking about a hyper level of hypocrisy. A hyper level of hypocrisy would be you going around to your work, telling them all to behave in a certain way, and then you not doing it. That's a hypocrite. Not you trying to practice the path and not being able to do it. That's not hypocrisy. It's not hypocrisy wanting to pick up the top weights in the gym and not being able to do it all the time. It is. If you tell everyone in the gym that they have to do 3 rounds and that's the only way to accomplish the gym, and you never do it, but you tell them all to do it, and then tell them that you're just as good at them at the gym, that's hypocrisy. So let's like finish with Rumi's perfect example of the mother brought the child to Rumi and said, "My child won't listen to me. Will you please tell him for his own good to stop eating sugar?" And Rumi's like, "Bring him back in 2 weeks' time." And she's like, "Oh, okay, great." Comes back in 2 weeks' time. And Rumi says, "Stop eating sugar." And she's like, "Well, why didn't you just say that 2 weeks ago?" He said, "Because I was eating sugar. So I had to spend 2 weeks to not eat sugar." That's not hypocrisy. Now, if Rumi said, "No, I eat sugar," he's not a hypocrite, but he's eating sugar. So you think of the sugar as like your actions that you're worried about. As long as you're not telling someone else to do it, it's not hypocrisy, Baron. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
You sure?
Yeah, it's some. I am quite a hypocrite though, in the way you're talking.
All right, well, change.
Yeah,
It's not nice, right?
yeah. I'm also lazy, and I have to change it.
In what way are you lazy? You mean about being
About
hypocritical?
change, yeah, about like yeah. It's like when you're a boss, you can't tell anyone something that you don't do yourself.
Why not? Why not?
Yeah.
If you've got kids, you can tell them to do something that you don't do.
There's rules of
What
the
do you mean?
boss.
Like if you're a smoker, you can tell your kids not to smoke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you're a hypocrite, but who cares a shit? It's like you recognize it's bad. Yeah, just because you can't stop it, you can still give the advice to someone else. You just recognize, right, okay, I'm a hypocrite. The advice would have more power if you didn't smoke.
Yeah. It's like when I go to pick up Tony in the morning, like I'm like 2 minutes late every morning. But then when if other people turn up late for work, I don't say anything, but I want to tell them to not be late for work. But I'm like, I can't say anything.
Of course you can. You're the boss. You could come in a fucking 2 weeks late if you want.
Oh no, but I'm giving
You're
Tony a lift.
confused about like,
No, no,
what?
no. I mean, Tony's waiting for me, like in People's, to give him a lift to work.
Oh, right, right.
So it's not like they're all at work and like, yeah, of course I can turn up whenever the hell I want. But it's in that situation, like someone's waiting on me.
Yeah, it's just not very kind, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just try and improve. Yeah, that's when you engage in the meditation. It's like, how would I feel if I'm constantly waiting on someone else? It's like a little power trip, isn't it? Agreement from the world.
Shut up, Tone.
But it's all right. I mean, like, we change and we do Vajrasattva and we try and go, that's not nice. Regret it. Try and improve ourselves. That's the job. It's like we've got the spiritual ideals. This is where we are, and we're trying to close the gap.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it's good that you share it. You know, you got Shivali should be on your case all the time. It's like, stop leaving the guy in the lurch. Sort it out. You know, and give her permission to kick you out of bed or pull the laptop away from, stop looking at Facebook, get there earlier. You know, start to enjoy being someone who's reliable. And then notice that little, what's the habit that makes us not want to be reliable? It's little power games, you know, you'll notice that. Something, it's like how the ego's surviving. Very interesting thing. Yeah, we've got power over someone, haven't we? If they're waiting on us. And it's less empowering if we turn up on time. Feels like we're like a good boy, we've turned up on time. Yeah, it feels disempowering to the ego to be reliable. Yeah, something to contemplate. It's 1:11. Thank you all so much for your attention. May the precious supreme bodhicitta grow where it has not yet grown. Where it has grown, may it not decrease, but flourish forevermore. May every living being recognize their true nature. May we abide forever as Buddhas in love. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful. Amen. Peace be upon you and your day. Thank you so much.